Hello and welcome to Automation Talk, where you have the opportunity to see and hear live what's happening here at Automation Direct. I'm your host today, Mr. Shane Kreider, and also joining me to help put on this presentation is Mr. Tom Olaski. Tom and I usually do about 98% of these, so if you've been here before, you've probably seen us, seen our ugly mugs, and know what it's all about. But if not, we welcome you coming in today. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump in. You signed up for it, but I'll re-mention it just in case. Today is going to be Seymour touch panels and our micro graphic panels. Now these are, we've done I think one of each of these, but we're sort of combining it, and we've had some new products come in since the last time we've done these shows. So this is all thrown together, and we're just going to hit a little bit of everything and just show the lineup as a full spectrum. And as you can see, if I can go to Cam 2, that just shows the whole desktop there.
I don't know if we can see the whole arrangement, but to my right we have all the Seymour, and to Shane's left we have all the Seymour micro products.
Right.
Hopefully we don't confuse you. I mean, the whole product family is called Seymour, but you know, we typically call the larger Seymours, the 6 through 15 inch, our Seymour touch panels.
Right.
And basically our other Seymour product line, the dot matrix, although we've added a newer unit, we call that the micrographic. A lot of times internally we'll just refer to it as our micro product line. So hopefully we keep that straight as we're talking about them.
All right, so we're going to jump straight in. First we're going to talk about the Seymour micros. Let me get my papers here out of the way, and we'll jump right into these. And as you can see on my side, like Tom said, this is the micro lineup. It's a touch panel at a text panel price. Now, we used to have a couple of different lines that we've carried. I think we still carry, like the DV1000 was our first one that we have ever carried.
That's always been a coil product.
It's been a coil product. It works great. I just hate programming them because you have to program them in ladder logic with a PLC. But they work great. Anybody that's used them and says, hey, it worked for my project, then they keep using them. We have a lot of OEMs that keep using them. We've sold and still sell the OP panels. They work great. They're really rugged panels. But we had a lot of customers that were asking for more features, more functionality. And Lauren, do me a huge favor. You're going to have to point at which camera because I have no clue. All right. We have a lot of new systems in here, so you'll have to bear with us. Tom and I are still learning everything. We were able to get some new gear this year that's supposedly going to make things better for you guys, but we're still learning it. It's a little bit more difficult for Tom and I because it just threw us out. This is the second time we've actually done one on this this set that we have here. We designed a new set so we could put more products out here. Tom and I have some monitors up here so we can see what's going on, so we can speed through things a little bit better and show you more products at quicker pace.
Makes it a lot nicer access to the products and everything as we think of stuff we want to show too. So,
all right. So the Seymour micros, yeah, we still sell the OPs, we still sell the DV1000, but these we had customers wanting more features, and obviously when we come out with more features, for some reason I don't know how Automation does it. Automation Direct does this, but we always sell better products. And we lower the cost. So we have better products, lower cost. We came out with Seymour Micro. This is a 3-inch panel, and I'll probably get off on the slides here because I always do. I just start rambling on about the product and jump ahead. But these, you can get these in a touch or a non-touch. They have multicolored backgrounds on them. They have function buttons across the bottom that you can use or not use.
Correct.
You can program all that in the software. On the side of them, it's a little tough to see here in the camera, but there is a RJ12 communications port on the side. So as you can see up here with this one Seymour micro with a Click PLC, it's actually powered straight off the Click PLC, just off the RJ12. It's a 5-volt DC signal. Now you can get, let me see if I've got one here. You can get some optional accessory modules off the back, like a power supply.
Piggyback right on the back.
Right. So if you want to power it off of a power supply, you just basically snap that on. And there's also one that you can snap on, and it gives you a communications port as well.
Right. We got some slides we'll show real quick on that too as we go through it.
Now, also here in front of me, I have one that this one actually you can buy bezels. For any of these small micro panels, but it gives you more functionality. You've got some menu buttons and stuff like that. Let's see if I can get it over there. Sorry, guys. There we go. Basically, it just snaps right in. So you have some availability with the bezels and stuff like that.
And that comes in 2 varieties, an 8-key function key with your basic cursors, and then also a 20 key function key.
Now, we have these in, like I just showed you, the 3-inch, and then we also have the 6-inch. And so we've got some, if I can go there. Hey, camera guy, got new gear. No, it's all right. It's all right. We've got the 6-inch. I've got a nice 6-inch one, and this one, what's pretty cool is, I mean, this is a graphic panel. You design any of the graphics, the text, the buttons, whatever you want on here. It's just these aren't going to be as nice as that. Looks like a TV. This looks like an industrial product.
Right.
Which, I mean, it depends on your price and what you're willing to spend and your project. But these are great. You can actually orientate them in a vertical or
portrait or landscape.
Right.
Yep.
Just like you're printing something in a Word document. Also, we have bezels for these. So you can do the bezels on them as well.
That comes in 2 varieties also, one in a landscape mode and the other one in a portrait mode.
Let me make a real quick comment on the back of these. You've actually got
2 ports.
You've got 2 ports, but you can power them a couple different ways. You can power straight off of there. Tom, you said on the RJ12 you can power
with all our products and PLCs. Almost all our PLCs contain a RJ12 connector or port on them. Our RS232. We can power the little 3-inch at full, and then on the 6-inch, if you're going to power them off of the PLC port, then it's like something like half brilliance or half, it's a little bit more dim. And currently, all the ones we have on display up here, basically, I think we tried to power them off at 24 volts just so they'll show up on camera well.
Okay. All right. Well, I sort of picked that one up. I didn't show the other ones. We have a color one down here as well.
That's one of our newer products.
Right. We released some new ones a couple months ago, and then we've got this is a color TFT. And then we've also got a 5-color one down here on the very end, and we're going to do a little bit of some demo on that in a second. On the slide, as we're showing, they're on the 3-inch panel size. You can see what the prices are. They start out at $149 for the non-touch. They go up to $189. So, like I said, I mean, we offer a cheaper product with a lot more features on it.
The amazing part we should point out is the memory size in the little 3-inch and the number of screens you can actually develop and have on them. That's kind of a powerful feature.
The 6-inch ones, they start out at $299. That's for the 5-color. And they go up from there, and as you can see, you can have up to right up under 1,000 screens.
Yep, exactly.
A lot of memory on these as well. Okay, these are the colored ones. As you can see, the 5-color. We've got multiple colors there, the high contrast, and then the LED.
A little story behind this. Initially, we came out with the and these are LEDs. It's a 2-color LED that actually gives the different screen colors in the background. And we initially started with the green and red, and then later we had requests from customers that wanted to be able to see lettering or font sizes on the screens from far across, like on a factory floor and everything. And the green and red, they serve purposes like we show on the slide there. You can use the colors to indicate different warnings or different things that are going on in the application you're using them on. But the good thing, we came out with the high contrast with that white background and black. That gives you a lot greater viewing distance for the words and characters on the screen.
It's something else Tom was saying, like a lot of customers were requesting this. When we actually started, and I think there's a slide on here, but when we started designing all of these products, we would design these products on what customers were requesting. Not, Automation Direct doesn't design a product and then just sell it and hope that it sells. We actually take the request from the customer. We're looking for what you want, because without you, we don't have a product. We don't have a company. We don't have anything to sell. So we're taking what our customers are wanting or asking for, and of course, there's some things that we're not going to be able to throw out there. We can't have self-programming panels.
Right.
But man, we're taking all the products and taking all the requests that we can, and we try to design everything through there and still keep it in a cost effective product. So when we came out with these, it was all what you asked for.
And basically, we're always open to suggestions, yes, or whatever you might want to see in the products. We try to get out there to you.
All right, this is our new one. Like Tom mentioned, this is the new. It's a T6CL. It is a TFT display, which is a lot better than S10.
Right.
You can see the 320 by 240, the colors, you know, over 32,000 colors with the LED backlight. You still got the 5 function keys on it. Built in, yeah, I didn't mention that. On the back of that one, this actually has a built-in USB port.
Right.
And I think Tom's actually
I'm connected into it. I'm going to demo that real quick here in a minute. And also, we actually can power that unit through that USB port if you want, if you need to. We still would recommend on a factory floor application that you apply 24 volts to it.
And what I love most of all is look at the price.
Yeah,
$399. What's cool about these is I've mentioned previously is these products, you know, they're built for the ruggedness. They're built for professionalism. They're built to be in an industry, you know, in a manufacturing facility, but also the home hobbyist. You know, you can pick up one of these or even the touch, and you're not going to break the bank. You know, you can afford one of these for the weekend project if you want to set up lights for your swimming pool or your house, or you want to build an alarm. You can grab some of these. You can grab like our Click PLC, and you can create yourself an automated little project.
Control project.
Yeah,
I don't know how many customers we have that basically they work in industry. You know, they might be a machine operator or something, but they have a strong interest in automation and stuff, and they actually in their own spare time will pick up some of the products and teach themselves and use our websites and everything to teach themselves on how to use the products, and eventually they migrate into a better position in the places they work. So.
All right, we're going to move on. So the versatility, as you can see, we talked about the function buttons, and I've got a couple here.
Yeah, all the units on the micros come with extra function key labels.
Right, and you can there's one that actually has the F buttons, the function buttons on it, or you can get the blank ones. You can get more of these if you need them. But yeah, they just slide straight in. They're easy to put in, but they still retain their NEMA ratings.
Right.
And these you can.
I don't know if we mentioned in the opening slide. These are IP65 rating, which is quite good. They have to be mounted correctly to make that IP65 rating.
You bring up a good point, Tom. Some of the older panels or some of the other manufactured panels, you actually would slide these in through the side on the front.
Yeah.
And you sort of lost your ratings. Well, ours are actually on the back side of the panel, so it's going to actually be on the inside of your enclosure. Now, when we were playing with these for testing purposes, we actually had the fire hydrant hooked up outside in the parking lot, and I went out there, and they were trying to figure out how many gallons per minute they could blast on this thing at what kind of pressure. And I videotaped it. I just don't think I ever did anything with it, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, these things were running in enclosures strapped to the back of. They had to ratchet strap these enclosures down to the back of a truck
to keep them.
Yeah, because they were blasting them with a fire hydrant, and they worked no problem at all.
And that was to get our UL ratings on,
right.
I think.
No, that obviously wasn't the UL testing, but it was just our testing to make sure it was going to be okay. But yeah. Okay, the expansions, we covered the expansions. Like you see, there's a lot of option bezels that you can get. There's a couple different ones. You can get the keypad or the menu type pads. Fairly cheap too, $59 and $79, and then for the larger ones, they're $79 and $99. Connecting to the PLC, like we mentioned, you can connect up to the RJ12 as shown there. Like Tom said, most of all of our PLCs have that RJ12. It looks like a little phone jack type connector. So the Click, the 05, the 105s, the 06s, the 205s, actually everything we have has an RJ12. I don't know if maybe some of the 305s might not.
There's different cables though we can actually convert
yes.
over to get connected up from like the 305 and
but
stuff.
Easy connectivity. Excuse me. And as you can see, all the available PLC drivers from our PLCs all the way down the list. Now, something I mentioned, there's a lot of panel manufacturers out there. There's a lot of people that only manufacture panels. Well, when you're only manufacturing a panel, we might be a little biased, but I guess in another sense, we're a little bit more educated because we manufacture a panel and a PLC, so we know what it takes to get the two to work together. If you're only manufacturing just the panel and not a PLC, it's a little bit harder. You're not going to know all the ins and outs as well.
Right.
But you can see the list there of all the PLCs that these will work with.
And the good part, because we have good experience making these work with our PLCs.
It's a lot easier to make them work with everybody else's as well.
And,
trust me, we have those here.
Want to mention the cables too.
Yes.
We sell a complete line of cables that'll made up to you know, any of our PLCs, but also on the protocol list you see on that slide there, we also sell the cables that'll connect you up to other third-party PLC manufacturers.
Right. The optional DC power adapter, like I said, we already mentioned that one. You just see a little bit better screenshot there on the slides. You've got the pluggable terminal. Actually, I've got a couple up here. You can basically just unplug the
that
power.
one wasn't snapped down.
Yeah, I didn't snap it down. I was playing with these, but you can unplug the power from them, plug them. You know, so you've got the removable power terminals. Snap that in, and power it up and ready to go. Now that's powered from a 24-volt power source versus running off of the COM port of a PLC.
And I think that unit starts at like $29 for one of them. And then there's also the one that's a DC power adapter, but it also gives you a second port, the 15-pin type port that you're going to find basically on the Seymour panels, but also on the 6-inch micro panels.
As you can see on the slide, that's good for if you're using RS 422, 485, 232, and so forth. All right, and last but not least,
software.
It's free. This software was free. There was really no point in putting a price on it. I mean, because it was going to be so cheap. And you'd think, well, if it's free, it's not any good. But no, our guys did put a lot into it. It was developed, you know, like I said, you know, here. But it's free. It's not a limited time. It's always going to be free. But, you know, go out, grab the free software. If you don't have it, you can sit there and play with it. You know, you design your screens or whatnot.
We're going to show this, but I mean, yeah,
download
the software. And the other thing we're going to show you real quick here, because we're running out of time, is the built-in simulator. So you can, you know, actually design an application and test it.
Don't tell them that, because see, we want them to buy a panel. You know, get the software for free, buy a panel, or you know, buy a 6-inch panel. And if you don't like it, then you know you got free software. But no, if you buy a panel, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee on it. So you know you can always send it back. But yeah, Tom's right. You've got the simulation on there, which is a huge benefit, and we'll get into that when he gets there.
We want to get into the Seymour, and we're getting down here on time and everything. So we're going to do a real quick software demo, and I think week after next, or I'm sorry, not week after next, but the seminar after next, we're actually going to do an advanced Seymour micro programming seminar and everything. So if you go to the next slide, I'm going to talk real quick here, but basically when you open the software up, it gives you the opportunity to start a project. I'll actually bring this up on this screen here if you want to switch over to the computer. I know I'm duplicating what you see on the slides, but basically this is where you would start a project. So make a new project. It allows you to give a name, what type of panel you're using, and then also the protocol. So within here I can, you know, select the Automation Direct Click, for instance. In this case, all I'm going to show you real quick, and the reason I'm doing this here is I threw an analog meter on here. Let me get to that screen, and basically I'm going to open that up. But I created this analog meter. It took me a couple seconds. I can change the orientation of it. I threw a tag in here, very simple. I called it meter 1. I can bring up the tag database, and I assigned it an internal tag called meter 1, and the data type is unsigned integer. So basically created a meter. I want to be able to control that meter, so I used a numeric entry. Basically used the same tag name for the data point entry, and then to get fancy here, I also created a couple extra screens, and to get between the screens I threw in a screen change push button, and basically you put the button in there, you can change the shape of it, and you can tell it what screen to go to and label it and add some other functionality to it. So real quick, simple, easy to do. Yeah, go through a couple more slides here.
Well, I think we jumped around a little bit. I sort of jumped down to the end.
Oh, okay. I was going to say real quick, if Lauren, if I could get you to back out on here, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the app screen. So over here is the navigation panel, and within that you can do the screens, you can do your functions, setting up the tag name database, actually set up your panel management. There's different tags that you can set up to go between the PLC and the panel, and then under the panel I can actually look at the panel and I can update my firmware. Across the top is a typical Windows pull-down menus with icons, and I can actually turn on and off some of the features. The center is where you actually develop your various screens. I can change the background color of my screen with just a couple simple clicks. And then the main thing are the different elements and everything I'm going to want to put on my screen. Those are over here on the right hand side. So I have my object list, and under there I have all my objects. I can't remember for sure. I think there's like 21, or maybe there's more of that. I might be getting confused with Click right now, but we have everything from graphics to push buttons to lights to different bar graphs and meters and bitmaps and a recipe button. We'll talk about that in a second here. And then I also have a library. And the cool thing about the library is I can actually create a somewhat complicated element on my screen that might be comprised of a bitmap and some kind of movable information and everything, and then actually take that stuff and save it to the library and then reuse it later. And also there's a parts list, so there's different elements in here I can use, and then there's a small help screen down here, but I don't want to forget there's a built-in help function within the software and everything. It's very extensive. From this point, if you want to skip through the slides there real quick.
I think we're jumping around a little bit on the slides. I apologize.
But, the last thing I want to show on here is where we actually can send the project to, here we go, you can see that in the center. This is where I would actually transfer the project to the panel. I've already done that, so I was going to have Shane just go over to the panel and just show real quick that, we didn't lie to you. We actually, programmed an analog meter with a numeric entry, and Shane can actually, get there, can actually go back to screen 1 if you can. And then if he presses the numeric entry, and unfortunately I didn't label, but he gets a numeric keypad, he can enter a value, and of course this is internal, so not sure what value, but looks like he put we got 0 to 100, and he put 50 in, so the need. If you go to the other screens, you'll see the same analog meter on the various screens with the same value in it. This last screen, there's a decrement and an increment number. If he sits there like he is and pokes that, the value goes up and down.
I know it doesn't look very, it doesn't look real fancy, but the thing is Tom created that in like a minute.
Yeah, it took a couple seconds. Now, the main thing, we've shown this little demo before in previous webinars, but kind of wanted to show you this so we can jump over to the newer unit. And what I'm going to have to do, if we can get back to the software, is I want to open the newer project for the EA1 T6CL. I'll go ahead and save that. Now, the color unit and everything, if we can get the camera over to that, basically I created a very similar project with an analog meter and then a numeric entry. I didn't do any fancy stuff with screen changes. If I can get Lauren to switch back over now, move the camera over to that center 6-inch, yep, right there. And basically what you're seeing there is, the analog meter in color, and then a numeric keypad, but same principle. If you hit the numeric keypad, it looks a little more fancier. You can put values in that the same way we did on the other 6-inch. But just real quick, we're showing the TFT color unit, and I threw a static bitmap up there just to show the capability. I've seen some real fancy stuff. I know we have it on one slide. And then last but not least, if we switch back to the software, I was going to show the simulator. And the simulator is going to allow me to sit here and look at my project. And it's the little icon up here called simulation. And if I bring that up, it actually checks my software. This box I'm moving around here allows me to pick different elements and different screens on the simulation. But right here is, I'll move it around so you can see it. There's actually a representation of, my screen, my project, and I can actually click, on that numeric entry and see if Shane put 50 in. I'm going to put 50 in, and if you look, it actually moved the meter. That's about it for the Seymour.
Let me make a comment about
Sure.
the simulator real quick. One of the reasons why, well, there's two good examples of simulator where this is really beneficial, especially in our history. Tom and I used to work in tech, so we used to take phone calls, and we always got calls on any of the other products outside of the Seymour line because these are the first two that we actually have with the simulator.
That's correct.
First of all, if you're an engineer, you're a tech guy, whatever, you're going out on the sites, you're working on these, you're programming these, and end of the day, you go back to your motel because you're out on a service call and you need to do some programming. Well, A, you had to bring a second panel along with you, or B, you had to program everything at the panel. You couldn't just sit in your motel room, program it, and then test your program. If you did, like I said, you had to have a panel with you and or a PLC so they could communicate back and forth. You had to have a power supply to power it up, whatnot. So now you can just do this on the fly. I mean, you're sitting on the airplane, program the panel, test it out, everything with the simulator.
Yep.
Second thing is, especially this is in the educational side, we have a lot of colleges and tech schools and even high schools now that are using these. Well, to save money, obviously they're not going to buy a panel for every student. Now every student gets a package of software and they have to develop a project. Well, they were all fighting over who got to play with the panel so they could test out their project. Now they can test it out in the software, and when they get ready for their test or their main project supposed to be done, then they can go up and connect up to it.
Two very well taken points and everything. I mean, simulation on any of the programming software is always very desirable. If you want to look through the slides, I think we...
Yeah, we jumped around a little bit. Like I said,
sorry about that.
We always get a little excited on that.
We threw some references in here like we always do during the webinars, and Shane's going to email those out to you, so don't worry about copying them down at this point.
Yeah, but we've got the products, just the overview on there, and we've got the micrographic web page, and then we've got the free software. But any of that's easy to find if you go out to our home site at AutomationDirect.com. Now we're going to jump into the Seymour touch panels. And this is everything on Tom's side of the table there. Design goals, what we had mentioned earlier, when we said, okay, we're actually going to design our own products. And the reason why, again, is we were selling some products that either us, Koyo had developed, or we had basically started selling for other people. We had customers saying, we want these features. And we started looking, we'd go out to manufacturers and say, we want these features. Well, the price was just, we couldn't sell it. It was just going to be overpriced. We said, we can do this ourselves. We always have. So we started designing stuff and building it ourselves. And these were just some of the design goals, is what customers were asking for. So that was some of the things we looked at and said, I mean, obviously that list was probably about 20 pages, to be honest with you. But, you start looking at what are some of the main features we cannot live without? What do customers really want? And that was how we started off with the Seymour touch panels. No touch cell limits. If you've ever played with any other manufacturers, a lot of them actually, the cells are basically touch each other and that's it. You can't overlay them. Now that can be good and that can be bad because you might have some hidden button behind another one. You don't know where it was at. It's going off. There's alarm messaging. Like I mentioned earlier, Tom was laughing at me. Bubba might have fat hands and fat fingers and he can't touch those little bitty buttons. But anyway, there's no boundaries there. You can click and drag the size of your objects. It's just, I mean, if you've ever used any type of graphical software, this is really similar to it.
Yeah, one of the tricks in that and any kind of graphical design is always you have all these objects and you're trying to make pictures and do stuff with them, but don't forget the little trick of who's out front, who's in the back, because you can always change that layering order in the software, and the Seymour software is no different.
Next up we have is the large memory capacity. I'm going to let Tom talk about that because I've got to save some stuff here on the computer while that's going on.
Basically, in the 6-inch, and let me explain. I'm not sure we have the slide in here, but when the Seymour first launched and everything, there were basically 9 different units, all the way from 6-inch to 15-inch. So let me explain. The 12 and 15-inch all had 40 megabytes of memory for user programs, and then 8-inch and below basically, I'm sorry, 10-inch and below basically was 10 meg. That hasn't changed. But in the smaller units, on the 6-inch, we offered two varieties in a grayscale and a color. And within those, we had STN displays, both in the grayscale and the color. And one was called a base feature, which basically, if you look at the catalog or the online information, says there's no Ethernet capability and there's no compact flash or CF memory capability. So that was offered. That was the -R model, both in a gray tone and the color. Then above it was the same STN unit with full featured. And then on top of that, we had a 6-inch unit, which basically was TFT technology in color. We found a better solution, and actually was able to reduce the price by coming out with our TFT 6-inch color, which is the T6CL model that basically replaced all the 6-inch color. And we still have the gray tone in both the base and the full featured, and now we have the color TFT in a base and a full featured. When we did that, we were actually able to lower the price of the reduced ones and everything else in comparison to the TFT color we originally had. So that benefited the customers. It actually gave a better display for anybody that wanted color at that time.
So next slide, are we good there?
I was going to say the full featured, we can do both. There's a built-in compact flash on the full featured. It'll take a CF card, and then as an option, there's a little rack that can be mounted to the back, and then there's a card that goes into the little expansion rack, and this allows a second CF card to be plugged in.
So you can add even more memory?
We can even add more memory for data logging, if we can show that. There we go. There's a CF. There's the card that goes into the expansion slot. And we also sell the pen drives that allow data logging and transfer of programs from one unit to another. I should mention real quick with not just the Seymour, but also with the
Seymour
Micros.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a quick start guide that comes that basically has the full specifications, dimensions, anything you can need built right into that quick start guide. And also under accessories, excuse me for the noise there, we also have a 90-degree for the port 2. I call it port 2 on the back. You can have a 90-degree if you've got a tight panel enclosure. And then there's also a breakout for the RS-485. Makes it a lot easier to wire 485.
Connectivity, as you can see, and Tom talked about it a little bit on it. You got, used to it was serial communications to any of the panels, and Ethernet was the big thing. This was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Ethernet, add Ethernet. Yeah. Well, now it's USB. We've added on there. Tom showed you got the USB pen drive, so you can store stuff on them. We actually have a port on there you can see that has audio out. We've actually got one of those panels in here in the studio that's just got buttons going across it with different sound bites, so engineer can press it and get claps or screams or whatever. But
gunshots.
There's just all kinds of stuff you can do. But you can add audio to your warning messages, or Bubba, wake up, you're falling asleep, you're not doing your job. Anyway, it's just all kinds of stuff you can do with these panels. I mean, we just really went all out when the guys designed these. Graphics and objects. If you look at some of the older stuff, I mean, this looks nothing like older objects. We actually had some of our graphical engineers here in-house design the buttons and objects for this. So it's not just a green button. You can see it's a shaded green button. They just look a lot nicer. There's so many objects. You can bring your own objects in. You don't have to use what's there. Built
into the software is the symbol factory, so you can put tanks and
you can just package all that together and save it in a library if you want to use just that one screen in some other project. You don't have to reassemble it every time. So yeah, the colors, over 65,000 colors, over 4,000 symbols to choose from. So there's just tons of stuff in there. There's really no limit, to be honest with you, other than Yeah, screens. I forget how many screens it said it was.
999.
Yeah, right up under 1,000 screens. Yep. So if you reach that, man, you've got way too much time to sit around and program. But nah.
Animation. We can do animation where you can take those same objects and everything, and you can actually, during the development, put different points or dots and everything, and actually follow the dotted line and move stuff around based on an analog signal or some other motion. Built-in alarm system where you can actually set up events and alarms and track them and keep a history and actually send out messages, and we'll talk a little bit about what you can do with those events.
Recipes.
You want? Okay.
You tell that one.
Okay.
I can cook, but why would I need that with recipes?
Recipe basically, and the easiest example, and I mean it's used in the process industry, steel mills, and everything else. But if I have a product, we'll say I'm going to make cookies, so chocolate chip versus peanut butter, they both have some similar ingredients and everything else. But maybe in my chocolate chip, I need 1 cup of flour, and my peanut butter, I need 1.5 cups. Well, I can make a list or a spreadsheet showing all my ingredients and showing all the different types of cookies and everything I want to make. And then within them, I can put the data that tells me how much of everything I want. Once I build this spreadsheet or database, I can take that, and it gets stored within the Seymour within its memory, so the operator just comes up, and if that machine's going to be making peanut butter cookies that day, he just hits the peanut butter button to load that recipe into the database, into whatever we're using, like a PLC, and that's how we measure out everything. So that's the recipe.
Thanks, Tom. Now I'm hungry. I want some cookies, so see you later. I'm going to go. No.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does have the recipe. Oops, I keep bumping that one. The built-in simulator, again, like what Tom showed on the Seymour Micro stuff, this has a built-in simulator as well, and you can set up what size screen you have when you're actually simulating it too.
Actually, when you start the project, you're going to pick the part number of the panel that you're going to develop for. So,
libraries, trending, data logging,
PID, base plates, PID base plates. Actually, in the webinar we just did on Productivity 3000, and we demonstrated some of the advanced features, and we used Seymour quite heavily to show all the different things that was going on in the Productivity 3000. The actual PID we did, we used the built-in faceplate, and I mean it was like bam, throw it in there, set the tag names I was described in my pack, and I was done. I mean it was that simple.
Send an email, screen capture anywhere, and this is triggered by an event or control. Like I said, this is great for when you've got any type of alarm. If you have a BlackBerry or iPhone or something like that, I mean, it could send you an alarm message and say, here's what it is. You can actually take a screen capture of what the panel looks like when it alarmed to tell you what the alarm is. Or maybe you've got Bubba that works on third shift and he just keeps falling asleep. It'll tell on him and say, Bubba's asleep again, the alarm's going off, and his peanut butter and chocolate chip cookies got mixed up.
Got the wrong ingredients in those cookies. But yeah, the email functionality, the event manager is real powerful. I mean, you set that up and you can trigger off of, if you're monitoring the level of water or something, you can set a set point and trigger off of that.
I think we do a run through of the products, and then we got one last thing we show on there, and then Tom's going to do a little demo.
Okay. Basically, this just shows the pricing with Seymour. The software for Seymour is $129.
But it has a 30-day money-back guarantee if you want to take a.
Yeah, if you want to test it, try it to see if it's going to fit your application, you can always send it back in 30 days. But if you look at this slide, the base units, there's 2 of them. The grayscale is STN, and the color is basically TFT. The full featured is just offered in, I'm sorry, the full featured grayscale is offered in STN, and then our full featured 6-inch through 15-inch are all TFT units. Right. And everything.
The last thing we'll talk about is something really powerful here, and if you'll go back, some of these features we've talked about, we did some talk shows just on these features.
Yeah.
Chris Harris is one of our test developers. He came over and did one on the remote access. I know Tim Roberts from our business development, he came over and did some stuff too. So go back and look at some of our recorded talk shows, but it'll show a little bit more on how this stuff works. How we did demos setting it up, but you can actually over the internet control one of these, or you can lock it out where nobody can control it, but you can just see what's going on. But I mean, there's a lot of passwords and stuff like that if you needed to get in there and do that to keep other people out of it. But yeah, you can go over the web anywhere and jump onto these things and see what's happening with them. But yeah, it's very powerful features.
To me, the two neat parts about us offering that is it's free.
Yep.
We didn't charge extra for it. We
Right.
Enhanced the software and the firmware within the Seymour to give it that capability. And the other neat part of it I like is the fact that it's kind of scary because you don't want to set up an application where somebody can control something that could possibly hurt somebody. But the good part is, it's password protected,
Yes.
or you can actually set it so all you can do is monitor
Right.
functionality. So we thought it through. And the last demo software we want to do, basically, I'll run through this, but if you want to go over to the software, all I did here was to just show you the capabilities within Seymour and our Productivity 3000. I set up a real quick little screen to take an input from the pack and turn on a light, and then an output from the Seymour and turn on an output on the pack. Basically, to start this process, what I did was I went into my Productivity 3000 software and I created a couple rungs of logic. So I had an input and I called it Seymour input, and I outputted that to a real-world output on the pack called, I didn't relabel it, and that's one of the strong points with the Productivity 3000 and Seymour is its tag name database. I didn't label it in this case so we could see that it was actually within the P3 called D00121. And then vice versa, I took a switch that's on a little simulator on the pack 3000, and in my ladder logic, I took a normally open contact and ran that to an output that virtually goes to, it's called Seymour P3K Simulate. We're going to demonstrate that in a second, but what I was going to say is once I developed those rungs and my tag names within pack, I actually exported a CSV file, CSV file, and then when I came into Seymour, I actually imported that to actually, if you look here, we'll look at this guy, and within the pack, I actually called it Seymour PB1, so when I imported it, I was able, from a list of tag names, to be able to find it in my list here. If you want more information on that, when we did the Productivity 3000 advanced programming software, we actually went through all that. So once I have this, this is very similar, or it's the same as what you're going to find in the micro. I was able to come up here, and in my case, I'm Ethernet connected, and the big thing I wanted to point out here, I have the PAC 3000, just a little 3-base rack over here, and in it I just have the CPU, an input card, an input simulator card, and an output card. And basically, I wired from the Ethernet back to a Stride switch, and from that, I'm actually gone to 2 Seymours. I'm going to the newer one we just talked about, the T6CL, and also coming back here to this 12-inch, which is the same one we basically used. I don't know if you see my hand here, but when we did the PAC 3000, we used this. So on the front of this, you're going to see, I don't know if I can hit the button from back here, but I'll simulate the little program. So both of those units are actually running from that pack, and I think technically we can hook up to 64 Seymours to one pack and actually
yeah, some of the questions we had last time is could you put multiple panels on? Yeah.
So right now that's what we're doing here. Now I'm going to step out to the front and just real quick, this is kind of simple, but the first thing I'm going to show is on the Seymour here, we actually have a button, so I can turn this off and on. I think I can. And since that's on, over here on the pack, if we can zoom in, there's a DC output module here, and I actually have that programmed into the first output. And I don't know if you can see it, but the little indicator on the P3 module is actually turned on. I know we lost our preset on the camera on that one, but it's right down here. There we go. We're zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. Focus, focus. And if you can see, it's probably hard to see on the video, but here, maybe you can see that turning off and on. But that's just a basic, ladder logic. And then vice versa. I don't know if you can see my finger on this switch, but there's a little input module. It's a switch simulator. And then on the front of the, as I turn that off and on, you can see on the front of the Seymour, the light I program's turned on and off. Kind of quick, simple,
Like you said, it was easy to program. It's easy to just throw it in there really fast.
So that covers it for the software demo. I mean, we also have the simulate on here. We showed that, right?
I don't recall.
Okay, let's simulate this real quick. We switch back to the software. There we go. So there's my little Seymour 6-inch. I can actually, I'm not tied in, so I can't really go out here and hit the switch. I can simulate things on here, but I'm not really tied in to the actual PAC 3000. But that's about it.
Okay, cool. So as you can see on our slide, we're actually at the Q&A section of our show today, and I know we're running a little behind, but that's always the case. We are always a little overdrunk because we have a lot to talk about, a lot of products. So if you have any questions for us, go ahead and ask them on the Q&A. I'm going to give you a quick chance, so please throw out any questions. Like I said, if we get any good questions, a lot of times we'll give away some free gifts just for having good questions. I didn't pull up any pre-questions just in case. I know a lot of times when you register, you can throw some stuff in there. Some customers said, basically they just wanted to see the lineup. They want to see how it programs and which PLCs they work with.
I mean, one of the important things is to make sure as you're doing development with Seymour, whether it's the larger Seymour touch panels or the Seymour micros, make sure you're always using the latest firmware. Our firmware is always available.
It's free.
It's free. On our website, I mean, it's very easy to install. There's a utility built right into Seymour. It says, update update firmware, and you pull the firmware file and set the panel into a certain mode, and you can update it.
If you ever have any questions about any of these products, if you buy the product or you just want to buy the product and you have some questions, you're not sure which one's going to work best for you, make sure you call our tech support. You can email them if you don't want to talk to them on the phone. You can fax them, actually. Yep. But just give them a call. It's free. Our tech support's always free. They're not going to charge you. They're not going to laugh at you. We get anything from NASA engineers to the other end of the spectrum. Like I said,
guys out on oil drilling rigs calling in with questions.
Yeah, I mean, and we might get somebody that's just the backyard hobbyist that wants to put one in their car. Actually, you'll be surprised. We have a lot of these that go into automotive, buses, boats. You name it, it's been there. All right, so we didn't have any questions really. That's okay, because we go ahead and wrap up a little early or wrap up on time. But you can still ask any questions if you want to. You can email them to us, or you can throw them in the chat, and we'll make sure we get them before the end. Real quick, we'll run through the references. There's the comparison chart. There's the websites. There's the demo software. Yes, you can get Seymour demo software. It's a little bit, it's a little bit. It's got some restrictions on it, but the Seymour Micro stuff, the full-blown version's free. There's no demo with it. With the Seymour Touch, there is a demo you can get for free, or you can buy the software for $129. And then we have our training and tutorial videos at our Learn site if you've not been there yet. We want to thank everybody for coming in here again. Tom did a great job doing the demo stuff.
Thanks
for
you,
helping
Shane.
with the slides and whatnot. Thank you for coming in and watching us. We hope that you learned a little bit about the products today. Please don't forget to check out our Automation Talk site. We always have 4 seminars. Yeah, we've got our new catalog.
Oh yeah, this is a monster.
There's actually 3 books there for our new catalog. But yeah, if you want a catalog, great. Go to our website. They're free. If you don't want one, save the trees and save the shipping cost. And you can actually get them on CD. You can get them off the web, or you can just go to our website because it's always updated. The best ways to get it. Learn.AutomationDirect.com. You can watch any of our video tutorials that Tom and I do. And like I said, make sure you sign up for some other Automation Talk shows. Thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks again, Tom.
Thank you, Shane.
Everybody have a great day.
Take care.